donor. I think it's, well, I think Matt told me who it was, but I'll get a confirmation on that, who will match any donations up to $25,000 during the Q&A portion, which is going to start in a couple of minutes. So please text the word wonderful to 707070 to help reach that goal and avail ourselves of that wonderfully generous matching opportunity. Well, hi there. Hey, Ben, I want to ask you a question about the movie, because it wasn't, oddly enough, as much as we cherish this movie now, it wasn't a success when it was first released, right?
No. I mean, I guess the post-war mood wasn't yet ready for a movie like this. Came out in 1946. Frank Capra, who directed it, he thought, he's quoted as saying, not only did he think it was the best movie he'd ever made, he thought it was the best movie anyone had ever made. And yet, yeah, you're right. It didn't do well. It took decades for it to sort of find its place, thanks in large part to television.
Right, indeed, because it had with the rights had kind of gone into public domain, right? So it could be run freely by TV stations all around.
That's right, and around Christmas, of course, it would run and run and run. Right, it became a little bit of a tradition for families, and yeah, and that made it the classic that it now stands as.
Yeah, am I right that one of the only Academy Award nominations it got was for The Snow?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it was not a movie. It didn't make a dent. It didn't really make a dent critically or at the box office. I mean, it wasn't hated, but it didn't land in 1946 the way it certainly lands in 2021.
The way I watched a wonderful documentary about the making of the movie, and the way they made The Snow, because they were shooting this here in Southern California during the summer, right? And they had to create a new way to make snow that is still, from what I understand, used to this day.
Yeah, there were all kinds of breakthroughs on this movie, including changing a shot in editing, because the most dramatic scene in the movie, which Jason nailed, is Jimmy Stewart in the bar. Right. At the end, when he's praying to God, right before he gets decked, and Jimmy Stewart sobbed during that scene, and this is a guy who'd flown 20 missions during World War II and unquestionably had PTSD, which we didn't have a name for it, to have that name for it, it was seen as a weakness then, but I mean, he commanded men who didn't come back, and again, 20 missions in B-24s over enemy territory, and so all that came out for Stewart. And then Capra, but he was on a wide shot, right? He wasn't tight on Stewart crying. And so, Capra afterwards is like, Jimmy, I'm wondering, Stewart was like, that's not happening again. I didn't expect it to happen then, and it's not happening again. So, in editing, and you see that it's slightly distorted, that tight shot of him. It's a little, it looks like Sybil Shepherd in Moonlighting. It looks like a filter in front of it. But
Murder, She Wrote. Yeah, the later seasons.
Right. That can be done now. And that was just Capra and his editor being incredibly innovative at the time.
That's wonderful. I think we got most everybody. Rosario's not back. I think Rosario's probably just putting all the props back.
Totally. He's going to put a pillow back. Yeah.
That was amazing. That was just amazing. Jason, there was a moment when you said, "Hello, Bedford Falls." It sounded just like Jimmy Stewart. It was amazing.
Oh, well, that's very nice of you. But that was definitely me. I was like, when do you save it? If you're gonna try to go into Jimmy Stewart, you gotta save it for that third act climax. Honor Jimmy Stewart and Joseph Campbell.
Yeah, there you go. Joseph Campbell. Now, I just want to ask, how are we going to run the questions? You want to feed Ben and myself questions, or?
They've given me a bunch of them.
Oh, okay.
So they may have sent that to you as well. I don't know.
Let me. Right. If I bring up the actual Q&A page, like I should.
But I think is Sarah Robinson on the line? Is she here? Because the first question was, I think, yes, to go to her. Hey, Sarah, how are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Well, first, Sarah, tell us who your grandfather is.
Well, my grandfather was Philip Van Doornstern. He was the man who wrote The Greatest Gift, which was the story on which this wonderful film was based. He's a Civil War historian and writer and interested in many, many topics, but this is the thing for which he's probably the best known.
Yeah, he wrote mostly biographies, right? This was an uncommon thing for him to write, right?
Well, he was really interested in fantasy and horror stories and all kinds of genres. And he also wrote historical fiction. So, for example, he wrote a book called The Drums of Morning, which is a novel, historical fiction novel about the 10 years before the 10 years before the Civil War and all that were goings on among the abolitionists. So he wrote it as a dramatic story, but it was based in very detailed research. So he wrote in many genres.
So he described this as the story that nobody wanted. What did he mean?
Well, he did. He also said it was the story that nobody wanted, that he had become very fond of. In brief, the story is this. He, in 1938, he had a dream in February 1938, and in shaving the next morning, he recalled the dream, and he sat down very quickly to sketch out what he remembered. And he wrote about a page and a half. And that was the core of the story. And it's remarkable, reading it now, how many pieces of this ultimate story and the film itself were in that dream as recorded that day. He wrote about George, the banker, failed banker at the bridge contemplating suicide, a small, cheery stranger at the bridge, the wish, the grant of the wish, the fact that the bank was ruined when George became a stranger to the town, and with it, the people in the town, the tree with the gash, the brother who drowned, all of those were in his dream. In fact, there were the telltale sail. When he returned, there were also telltale signs of his having returned, which were brush bristles rather than Zeus's petals, but the signs were there. In any event, he had the story, but it took him 5 years to write it to his satisfaction. He wrote several drafts, put them aside, and then in 1943, he looked at it again. And at that time, he added the Christmas theme. Previously, Christmas wasn't in it. And he decided it was done. He gave it to his agent. And she said, well, you know, it's going to be hard to place a fantasy story in the popular magazines. But she tried. She went to Saturday Evening Post and the quote is Saturday Evening Post to the local farm journals. Nobody would take it. So she was right. But my grandfather was undeterred. He loved the story and he knew it was good. So he decided to publish it himself in 200 copies, a 24-page small booklet that he published himself, 24 pages, 200 copies, and he gave it to friends and neighbors and his child's teacher and her friends and all kinds of people like that. And it made its way into the hands of a Hollywood agent, as everybody knows, and from there to the hands of Frank Capra.
Circuitous route it took to become a classic film.
Yes, in fact, I wanted to say one more thing about this, which is that he, as I said earlier, he was a man of many deep interests, and one was the human imagination, the power of the human imagination. And he really understood The Greatest Gift as a fantasy story and fantasy stories as distinctive and powerful products of the human imagination. And this way of understanding the story has always been really important to our family. My mother, who unfortunately is no longer with us, wrote an afterword to a publication. Oh, I have to show you. This is the original 24-page book that he gave to friends.
That's cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
And this is the current publication, which is out now as well. But in this book, my mother, who passed away in 2019, had written a wonderful afterword about her experience as a child when he wrote the book, when he wrote the story and published it and the film came out. And she tells in the afterword that he told her that it was a universal story for all people in all times, even though it was set at Christmas. And of course, the film is too. And my mother also wrote that age, gender, occupation, race, religion, income level, nationality, politics, none of these things mattered when it comes to people loving the film. And it's no wonder. And it's no wonder why, because the film is a missive from the human imagination, a dream, no less.
It is such a cherished story. It really is. Thank you for giving us some of that backstory and the history of it.
A little longer than I probably
No,
should
that's
have.
quite all right.
Really
that's fascinating. Thank you so much. I want to also welcome our center actors from the Ed Asner Family Center who did such a wonderful job tonight as well. Ryan Booth, Domonique Brown, Spencer Harte, Lucas Solosky, and of course, Chelsea Darnell. And just an amazing performance by all. I want to turn to some of the other questions, and Ben, you and I can tag team these. The first one, not surprisingly, that I have is from Connie Anesi from Chicago for Rosario. How did you come up with such great ways to enhance the show?
Well, no, I mean, I couldn't help myself. There was just so good stuff. There was so much good stuff and moments, and I just adore this movie, and I watched it a couple of times as an excuse for research. And yeah, I just wanted to just bring some joy and some fun to the read.
You sure did.
Yeah, that was great.
Couldn't help it. I loved Ed kept changing his hat. There was the music were really great. Kathy slammed the door right when the sound effect hit. Like,
oh, Mandy's ad lib when Mark's dog was barking at the start. I love that.
So great. And Mark's like looking up, and there was just so much good stuff. I really loved all of it. This was so much fun. What a joy and a blessing.
All right, Bree Harvey has a question for Jason and George. Just how did it feel working with your uncle, and how did it feel working with your nephew?
You start, sir.
He's just so perfect for the role, and there are probably not that many uncles of his that qualified to play Uncle Billy. So I'm happy to be on board. And we've actually done the odd gig together before, so it was fun.
This is for Jason from Emma Hinchcliffe. What does the character mean to you, considering you spoofed the part on SNL and reference it in Ted Lasso? Curious if you have a special connection, Jason.
I don't. I think I have the same connection as everybody does. Like in many people, it's just one of those. I mean, it literally, just as Sarah was saying earlier. I think it's one of those movies that grows with you as you get older. I've watched this with my kids, and they get, it walks you right into it as being a child, and you get to hang out with a young George Bailey and a young Mary and a young Violet, and then get to grow up with them. And while they probably don't get the second half as much as I do now, having children, it's got the same connection with me as it does with, I would say, well, I want to double check with Rotten Tomatoes, but I think 98% of the population. Obviously, right. Rotten Tomatoes is the
ultimate
gold standard. Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Yeah.
By the way, if people haven't checked out Jason playing a version of George in the Jewish version of A Wonderful Life, which I believe is called This You Call a Wonderful Life, which was a great SNL skit, which was it was fantastic. It's worth it.
On Saturday Night Live, not just like.
No, right. That's right. You don't just go around doing it. That's right.
Yeah. For the rest.
It was a door-to-door thing, television program. Right. Is Mark Hamill here still?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, first of all, Mark Hamill as Clarence crushed it.
Bravo,
there are a couple
Mark,
of animal it was amazing, and a couple of questions about the animals who showed up on camera. But most of the dog barking, I think you heard, was Mark's. I assume he was talking to a dog. Maybe it was a person. I don't know. Mark.
Mark was throwing his voice. Actually, that was actually Mark barking.
Oh, that was very good.
Yeah.
Very
so many skills.
Trick.
For the first hour, I was totally alone. My wife had a previous engagement. My daughter was getting her nails done. So priorities.
Yeah, sure.
So I was alone with the dog, and we had a bone when she has this chew toy that usually keeps you quiet. And wouldn't you know, in the very first scene, I don't know what she saw, a squirrel, who knows? But, I'm telling you, when Mandy did that ad lib,
that was great, Mandy.
Exactly. So, I mean, he has a little experience working live. Jason has that same experience, but that's the thrill of it all, really, is that, off you go. And I remember seeing this film as a kid, and then And at the time, I thought, wow, that was like the best Twilight Zone episode I've ever seen. But then I saw years later in college, we went to an all-night marathon of all these Frank Capra films. Between this and Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, Meet John Doe. At the end of it, I thought, well, that's it. We might as well just give up all the great movies that have been made, all by this one man. Because the emotion, and I appreciate it on such a different level as an adult than I did as a kid. And and it just, that's what was shocking to me, was that it was not a great commercial hit. Because you think just post World War II, it's the ultimate feel-good movie about not taking things for granted. And it makes me want to sort of look up contemporary reviews of the film, because Ben said it wasn't reviled, but it just didn't land, which it's astonishing to me that it wasn't considered the way it is considered now.
Chelsea, when was the first time you saw the movie?
Oh man, I can't even remember. I feel like it was just a rotation as a kid. It was like one of those films that we would watch at Christmas.
And ironically, the fact that it fell into public domain made it available. I mean, it was put out by several companies on videotape and then on DVD. And of course, it's these local stations, they don't have to pay the money. I mean, ironically, it helped propel it into, its current classic status.
Mm.
Pete Hammond had a really good article about it on Deadline a couple of days ago. This is its 75th anniversary. And even though it was nominated for Academy Awards in many categories, it didn't win anything, but it has become the classic that it eclipses any other films that won that year, just its popularity and how beloved it is.
We start talking about stuff like this and at least I act like I know what I'm talking about all the time, but I'm going to guess that because, Best Years of Our Lives won Best Picture that year in 1946. And, this pretty much perfect film, but it might give you a Big Sleep, I think also 46, but gives you a sense of that. Maybe we weren't quite ready to return to escapism that quickly after the end of the war. I don't, smarter people than I could answer whether that was really true, but that might've had something to do with it, that it just didn't feel quite right for the time.
Yeah.
Whereas if it had come out 2 or 3 years later, might've been a different story.
I want to just remind everybody watching, we have an anonymous donor who's going to match any donations up to $25,000 during this Q&A period, which we can continue for another about 10 or 15 minutes in deference to our cast members who are on the East Coast and for whom it's much later. Martin, I wanted to ask you, what was it like to be the heavy in this one, the bad guy?
I will never do it again.
Just get rid of it.
My favorite president.
Exactly.
I love Jason, but no, I'm so jealous. I'm never going to watch Ted Lasso again.
Yeah. I don't blame you.
And just remarkable. But this.
Thank you.
This film lives in a very, very special part of my heart as well. It evokes joyful weeping. I anticipate certain scenes, and when Ben, you were talking about the filming when Jimmy Stewart was actually playing that part, and the director asked him to do it again in a coverage, he wouldn't do it. I thought he didn't have to really. I mean, we got it. I didn't know specifically that part of his journey, but he was a remarkable actor. I think this was the role of his life. The one I think he's most remembered for. He's so vulnerable. He's so funny. And he, when he got angry, as soon as he comes back, I hated to see him choke the old man, you idiot, you stupid. I'm surprised they didn't cut that scene, because maybe Jimmy Stewart would have objected to it. No,
He didn't test well. He didn't test well.
Can't do that. Yeah, I felt so badly for him that he had to do that. And the little touches, picking up the thing off when he's heading up the steps, and I was afraid he was going to throw it at one of the kids. I love this film, and Ben, you would know how many times has it been in the background of films? I mean, over the last 25, 30 years, it's playing in the background, and you know every scene that how many times, or is it they have to pay some residual for it, don't they?
Yeah, I think it's 32. I don't know, Martin. How would I know?
We should ask Sarah that.
Hang on, I got it. I have it right here.
Haven't you all seen it in films where you're watching a movie?
But
I can't think of any specific.
But Marty, it might be that because for so many years you didn't have to pay anything. It was in the public domain, so you could just do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's in French in Home Alone.
Is it?
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, they're watching It's a Wonderful Life in French when the family's stuck in Paris and it's raining.
We used it in Ted Lasso in the second season in the Christmas episode, and yeah, it costs money.
Yeah, now it costs money. Now
they figured it out. Yeah, they're like,
Hey, Jason, can I go off the reservation for a second? Because I read that the last season of Ted Lasso originally was picked up for 10 episodes, and then suddenly they gave you 2 more, and the Christmas episode was the result of one of those extras. Is that right? Because
one of those. Yeah. We did 10 the first season, second season. Yeah, they added 2 more. And we did 2 like standalone episodes, a Christmas episode, then one with Coach Beard. Yeah, but yeah, that was our little homage to the Christmas episodes that we grew up with. That and all. I mean, it's jam packed with our love of the holidays and the holiday films. Yeah.
Real quick question, hey, Jason, do people get paid when they get name checked on Ted Lasso? I'm just wondering.
Oh, did you get name check, Lou?
Oh, he sure did. He sure did. In episode 11.
We screamed here in the Phillips household, and Twitter went nuts. So
it's in the next lifetime. You start with with more XP. Nice. Any of your kids that play video games will tell you start with more XP in your next lifetime.
Jason, one question, if I may. How do you get away with using the F word with a child in the same frame in the scene?
You let the child say it right back to the adult. Exactly. Yeah.
Hey, I don't see Spencer on my screen right now, but if I probably go, oh, there's Spencer. Hi, Spencer.
Yeah.
You had something you wanted
Tom
to say?
Bergeron.
Hello, Spencer Harte.
Hi,
You wanted to say
Spencer.
something about the reason.
Hi,
we're here.
Naomi. Hi, Jason Sudeikis. And hi, Mark Hamill.
Oh, Mark, I think you're her crush right now. That was the best greeting.
Yeah.
Spencer, you wanted
It
to
was
say
like- it
something
was-
about Ed, about the reason we're all here. Is that right?
Yeah, it was such an honor to work with all you guys.
It was an honor to work with you again, Spencer. We worked together on Atypical, so it's really special for us.
Nice.
And Mr. Ed Asner is like a second grandfather to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I miss him so much.
Yeah.
And I think we all made him proud and he got his wings.
Oh,
I love that. Well, Spencer, you're amazing as Zuzu and all the kids and everyone, all your pieces, everybody. It was so great.
Yep.
Yeah, great job, Spencer.
Yeah, especially Spencer. That was really, really good. I love that.
Kathy, I don't want to alarm you. Someone is sneaking up behind you. And now they're gone.
He's retreating. He's
So
retreating.
my friend-
You're a hero. Tom's a hero.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
It's my friend Philippe. He's visiting. He finally got to come from France. It's been 2 years. So, after 4 days of quarantine and tests and everything, now we're like, about to have dinner.
Cheese and baguettes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's spaghetti.
Martini.
Phil, I have to say, Phil, as a TV host and I've done my share of narration, I'm jealous of your voice.
Here.
Well, Tom, I'm jealous of your hair, so we're even.
No, there you go. Yeah. I just got it. It's a new one. Now, Mandy, we're doing a lot of this Q&A on TikTok as well as the stream that we had the whole. And you're a star of TikTok. You and your wife.
I'm just the stupid parent who answers my son's questions. I have no responsibility whatsoever. Catherine and I just show up, and whatever Gideon asks or says, we answer, and he's the one who gets all the credit. We're just the goofy parents.
Mandy, did you do any work on anything before TikTok or in the business?
No, TikTok is the only thing I've done, and I'm hoping to get something from it.
All right. Well, yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah.
I have to say, I was so deeply moved by the children in this piece from the center. Oh my God, it was just breathtakingly beautiful. And thank you for letting us be a part of being with them. Everybody's faces were just incredible, watching all the other actors just being so grateful to be with these kids. It was a gift to every one of us and everyone watching, I'm certain. Golden.
Indeed.
Let me can I throw one question out here, because there's first of all, she got an incredibly cool name, Gigi Kane from Chicago. Really, for Lou and Mandy and Kathy and Ed, all those people, all the pros who played multiple characters. Any trick to keeping them all straight or doing a different thing for each character?
I'm sorry. It's watching Mandy. I'm sorry, man. I went back to Inigo Montoya. My heart swelled.
Have fun storming the castle.
I know, right? But I do a lot of audiobooks too, and I go kind of whole hog with the accents on that. So I tried to give it a little flavor in this. Just a little bit. I was tempted to kind of go with, maybe toss in a little on the side there, but to spin some webs and, sit behind my desk. But no, I just thought I'd give it a little bit of, a little bit of a touch.
I want to. We only have about 10 minutes left for this Q&A portion. Let's bring the focus back to Ed Asner. Any favorite Ed stories? I have to just tell one quickly. I met Ed years ago when I hosted a talk show in Boston, and we decided to go out to dinner after a performance of Born Yesterday that he was doing with Madeline Kahn, and we had hit it off on the talk show. It was a live daily talk show. The night I met him at the theater to go over to Legal Seafoods to meet my wife and his girlfriend and his adult daughter, he was not in a good mood. It did not go well or something. And he was very sort of cranky Lou Grant, and we were sitting around trying to make conversation. It's not really going that well. We had just had our daughter. I think it was one of the first nights my wife and I were out after our first daughter was born, and a baby started crying at another table. And my wife, who was wearing a silk blouse and breastfeeding, started to lactate. And Ed, God bless him, became uber dad. He just was so sweet, so lovely. The whole tenor of the night changed. And fast forward to when I hosted his 90th birthday party, I recounted the story that he had said years later after meeting Lois again, 30 years later, and she said something kind of snarky to him. And he said, it was the longest callback in comedy I've ever heard. He said, I liked you better when you were leaking.
I should tell my Ed Asner story. In the fourth year of my career, I got a TV series that was produced by Mary Tyler Moore Productions. And of course, they were in their 5th season. And I knew at the time, it was one of the greatest sitcoms in television history. So the first thing I did when I met Mary's husband, Grant Teeker, who ran the company, I asked him, we were a one-camera show, not in front of a live audience. I asked him, could I come to the tapings? And he said, oh, sure. I rarely sat with the audience. They usually put me on a chair to the side. But beyond that, when I wasn't working on my show, when I had scenes off, it was a show with Jack Elam playing my father and a then unknown Gary Busey playing my older brother. I would tell my producers, you know where I'll be, which is, and they allowed me to do this, sit and watch them rehearse.
Oh, wow.
The Mary Tyler Moore Show, which was like a master class in acting. And I was so impressed. I mean, one of the reasons Ed Asner could move flawlessly from the character in a sitcom to that character in a drama was he played the truth. He didn't play comedy. He played the truth. And he was pretty intimidating in that Lou Grant kind of way. But they sort of got used to me. I wouldn't engage with them or talk. I would just sit quietly and watch them rehearse. And one day I was walking past his dressing room and he was sitting with Gavin MacLeod and with Ted Knight. Wow. And to my surprise, he called me by name. Hey, Mark, come on over. And I went in, sat with them for about 20 minutes until they were ready to go back to set. I think Ed and Gavin went. And just before I left, Ted turned to me and he said, you know why he's so nice to you? And I said, no, why? He goes, because he thinks you're Mark Tinker. which was the son of
the boss,
of the big boss, exactly. Now, I laughed at the time because it was so Ted Baxter leveled me like that, but I know he was joking because Ed had asked me what it was like working with Jack Elam. He knew what was going on, but I can't tell you how meaningful that was to me because I just wanted to be a fly on the wall, and for him to be so gracious and to talk to me about, well, have you done stage and what are your goals? I mean, he wanted to talk about me. Of course, I wanted to talk about him, but that's just the way he was. And as you said earlier, to know him was to love him because he was just everything you wanted him to be and more. Just a wonderful guy.
I'm so grateful.
I'm sorry, Rosario.
Oh, sorry. I got to work with him on Briar Patch. I think it's one of the last things he did. It was just a couple of years ago. And there were these really long pieces for him to do. And he just ad-libbed so much and made so many jokes. And he would do this thing where he would turn himself into old man and seeming all crotchety and like he wasn't really being able to totally follow it. And then he would just, right afterwards, cut. He'd be smoking a cigarette and flirting.
Can I turn to Ed Harris, winner of the Best Fireplace Award for the night?
Yeah.
Ed, any memories of Ed Asner that you want to share?
You know, I just love the guy so much. You know, we spent a bit of time on the SAG board years back, and I used to sit next to him a lot and been over to his house a few times. We talked about different things, certain projects he was trying to get going that we were, you know, I was maybe going to do with him that never really got off the ground, but I just really loved the man, you know, and it always just, it didn't matter to me what mood he was in because you knew where it was coming from deep down. He was just a sweetheart, and it just always felt good being around him. Just made me feel good, you know.
Yeah.
I was honored to be on a few boards with, you know, Francis and Kathy and Ed and, you know, SAG and the Academy and whatnot, and played poker with Ed for years. A lot of you have been in Norby Walters' place, and that's often where I'd see Ed, you know. And I remember one night, this was before the turn of the century, where I literally the subject came up. I said, yeah, I think I'm gonna, you know, apply to get into the Academy. And Ed didn't miss a beat. He said, I'll sign your card. So, you know, Ed Asner was one of my sponsors to get me into the Academy, which, you know, it was so kind of him to offer to do that.
Chelsea Darnell, favorite memory of Ed?
Well, I think I only met I think I only actually have ever met Ed either once or twice, but the one time I remember, I think it was in the video that was played earlier in the intermission. There's like a clip. I interviewed Ed at the gala 2 years ago, and he was very much like his character from Up, kind of a lovable curmudgeon. He was sharp as a tack.
Yeah.
Extremely witty.
Mm-hmm.
He was just a very very nice, very funny, very charismatic. Like I haven't met Ed enough times to have like a specific memory. That is my memory. Interviewing him, getting to know him.
It's a good one.
In those like 5 seconds, and he was just a really there's a reason I think he was so beloved. He was just a really charming, funny guy, and he would always tell it like it is. I feel like he was very at least what I got from him was that he was very blunt, and I think that's what was one of his best characteristics. So he was we lost a good one. We really did.
Indeed. Domonique, I want to make sure we get you in before we have to wrap. Domonique, did you want to say something about Ed?
Well, yeah, seeing the fact that I only met Ed that one time at the Camp Ed, we were doing this improv thing, it was just, he was just a great guy. Getting to like doing that one improv game with him, and seeing the fact that that was the only time I had wished that, I wish I had knew Ed longer. And after hearing about his death, that after the first moment after hearing his death, I immediately binge watched the Mary Tyler Moore Show. I had binge watched the whole series, every episode.
Did you?
Nonstop. That was like one of his best times. He was a lovable guy, a wonderful friend to the autism community.
Indeed.
And he will be missed.
Indeed. We only have a couple more minutes. I want to make sure I'm getting, because I'm looking, Ben, I don't know if you have it on your screen as well.
The we want to get from Lucas, right?
Yes.
How did you get into the world of acting? Is Lucas here?
I'm right here.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So how did you get yourself into the acting biz, into the world?
Well, I started making video. Well, I started singing in 2015, and I get into some acting later in sometime in 2010. I started in 2010, but got into my debut in 2015 and then after that, I went to the Ed Asner Family Center. And I remember the first time I went to the center, it was like a dream come true. Because I'm a talented artist.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's great to have a place. Yeah.
I'm a singer, a songwriter, a YouTuber. You guys have to check. All of you will have to check out my videos on YouTube. I got a 5th, and you guys know Miley Cyrus?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
I want to meet her.
Okay, we'll work on that. We'll work on that. Lucas.
My mom has a crush.
Yeah. Somebody make it happen.
Yeah, I want to. We're gonna wrap it here because
my mom has a crush on Ed Harris.
I'm sorry.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Okay, now it's getting too steamy for the general audience. Now there we go.
When did this turn into a dating service?
I got to tell you, just having the advantage of just sitting back and watching all of you do the magic you did. What a wonderful evening it was. Thank you all so much. And to everybody out there, remember, keep texting wonderful to 707070, and let's give everybody their wings.
Yes. Yes, please.
Good night, everybody. Take
Bonne
care.
Noël, bonne Noël.
All right. Much love.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Love you guys.
Love you guys so much.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you all for
Happy holidays, everybody. Much love.
Yep.
Much love.
Good night. Thank you, Tom.
Wonderful show.
Thank you.
Shut up.